Hello and welcome, friends. Today I have for you a special vintage English fountain pen. This is the first time that I add to my collection a fountain pen from the Conway Steward. This is the fountain pen. It comes in this beautiful green with gold veins. And I presume that the material is not celluloid, but casein. And I've read that casein is very sensible to water, so don't mix them together because the casein could be affected. In fact, you can see the difference. So I have here a celluloid material, and you can see the difference between celluloid and casein. The celluloid maintains that shininess to it, and if you see the casein has like a faded structure. You can see a faded structure. I presume that in contact with the hands, with the sweat of the hands, it developed this faded patina. But as you can see on this part that it was partially covered with the cap, you can't notice major differences between this layer and this layer. Maybe this is a little bit more vivid, but not shiny like the celluloid material. And this information that this material is casein is not 100% sure. I'm not sure of it, but I've read in one source that this is casein. Because this is a model of a Conway Steward, if you can see, Conway Steward 12, made in England. So this is a model from the late 1950s and the beginning of the 1960s. And I thought that casein was only used in the 1940s. I was fortunate enough to buy this fountain pen at quite a reasonable price, and I think I paid 20 or 30 euros for it, including the shipment. As you see, it is a lever filler. At the end of the lever, we have the logo of Conway Steward. Yes, and this logo is present also at the end of the cap, of the clip of the cap in that diamond shape. So, because this is the first model in my collection from the famous English firm Conway Steward, it deserves quite little history lesson. So, in 1905, Mr. Frank Jarvis and Mr. Tommy Gardner formed Conway Steward and Company next to St. Paul's Cathedral in London. It is believed that the name Conway Steward derives from a popular vaudeville act of the day. Conway and Stewart were a comedy double act who appeared at Collins Music Hall in Islington. Practically, this enterprise of the two gentlemen resold fountain pens made by other manufacturers, and they concentrated their business importing pens from the United States. With a strong competition, especially from De La Rue, Gardner and Jarvis found a niche in the market. There was demand for good, reliable writing instruments that were also affordable. So they developed a single aim to produce elegant and beautiful, yet functioning fountain pens. By 1925, they trademarked the name of the business Conway Stewart, and they sold fountain pens with different filling mechanisms like eyedroppers, lever fillers, pump fillers, and safeties. A trademark for the name Dinky was registered in 1924, along with a patent for a new locking lever mechanism. Also in the 1920s, Conway Stewart started using the brightly colored celluloid material. There were offered dozens of different colors in their various lines, and the customer could choose from either simple and conservative to bright and colorful and almost flamboyant colors. The pens of the 1920s and 1930s were very well made and of high quality, yet remained affordable. In the 1950s, saw another booming period of the Conway Steward. They launched the famous number 22 floral with a flowered design set on a cream background. Unfortunately, also the 1950s brought the era of injection molding for the manufacturing of pens. This led to the use of solid color plastic in place of the wonderful patterned celluloids. And also the 1950s brought the tough competition from the ballpoint pen, and eventually Conway and Stewart, although they tried to launch their all ballpoint pen and even a fountain pen with a cartridge, they had to close their business. But fortunately enough, the business was restarted, let's say, in the 1990s, and even now, Conway Stewart is a nice presence in the fountain pen industry in England. So this was my short history lesson. Let's return to this beautiful, beautiful fountain pen. The lighting doesn't give justice to the beautiful, beautiful material. And I only suspect that this is casein and not celluloid, but maybe I am mistaken. You can see it has those simple gold-plated trims. And let's start with the cap. You can see the cap has this ring, quite a thick ring. It has those breathing holes. I believe it's one, two, yes, two breathing holes. And this wonderful, wonderful clip with the ending in the shape of a diamond and the logo also in the shape of the diamond. The end of the cap has this cone shape, metallic cone shape, and this is repeated at the end of the barrel. But this time we don't have a metallic cone, but it is just a cone in the material. The cap unscrews and it reveals a beautiful, beautiful gold nib. Let's zoom on it, and we have a Conway Steward 14 karat gold 3N nib. We will see how it writes. You can see the iridium tip has lasted all those years. Let's turn it around, and we have an ebonite feed, quite a simple feed. I love that the grip section ends in a slightly concave form, and it reminds us of the German fountain pens from the 1950s. This being a lever filler doesn't require a ink window. Unfortunately, the lever doesn't work, and I suspect that we have a second side that was dried up in time, so it needs replacement. And you know that I don't do this type of restoring work. Maybe someday I will learn to restore my own little pens, but till then I prefer to send them to professionals to do their work because they are so fragile and so easily to broke. So this is the fountain pen. I will leave its dimensions on the screen, and like a comparison, because I've already shown you at the beginning of the video, I have also a British fountain pen, this time a Burnham, and you can see the difference in material. This is a celluloid and this is casein. So quite well made fountain pens. This is another level filler for Burnham. And just as a comparison, I will put them side by side. You can see that the Conway and Stewart number 12 is a smaller fountain pen. I will leave its dimensions on the screen. And after that, I will do a little writing sample. So you might remember this ink, this vintage ink from the 1990s from Pelican. It developed some weird algae inside it, and I don't know if you can see it. Yes, you can see over there in the light some deposit. And because this is a green pen, I will do the writing sample with the green pen. Of course, I'm not worried about leaving sediments, because I will simply dip only this section of the nib and the feed in ink, and then we will try to write with it. Okay, let's leave the Burham aside. Let's put this here. And I'm sorry, guys, I have to to bring out the tissue, and you can see, look at the residues of this green ink. So remember, this is an ink from the 1980s, so in time it could develop this let's say mold, or I don't know what it is. Okay, so simply okay, now I will gently clean it. Okay, remember always to close the ink bottle. Let's see now. I want to, first of all, you can see it pose, and it pose quite secure, no problems. But I prefer to leave it unposted, because in time it could leave scratches on that part. So let's put the cap here, and maybe I can give it a little zoom. Okay. Okay. So this beauty is a Conway. I'm sorry. It appears that I don't have ink. Let's zoom a little bit. Okay. Maybe this ink doesn't do the trick. Let's see. So now it writes. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. Let's change a bit the angle. Okay. And I will bring here this. Okay. Let me see. So I have here for you a Conway Steward number 12, made in England in the late 1950s. Okay, let me mention it is a lever filler, lever filler. Okay, it has a beautiful 14 carat 3 and gold nib. It certainly has a little feedback, not an annoying feedback. It doesn't scratch, but quite a nice one. Let me check if we have some line variation. Let's see. I believe it slightly has a little bit of line variation, but I will call it a stiff nib. Okay, let me check also the pressure test. So No pressure and a little bit pressure. It definitely has a small line variation, but you have to apply lots of pressure, and I don't recommend applying lots of pressure. Just leave it as it is. A little test of the juiciness. It is a medium juice, but maybe we don't have lots of ink on the feed and on the nib. Let me also write something. So the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Yes, definitely it needs a little bit of ink. Let's give it a little bit of ink. Okay, why not? And practically I'm pleased with this fountain pen. It is quite a nice fountain pen. It's simple. I consider it a medium-sized fountain pen. So yes, definitely a nice writer. But it has this feeling of almost scratching the paper. But I'm assure you this isn't a scratch. It has definitely feedback, a strong feedback to it, but not an annoying one. And I think I can get used to writing with this nib. Definitely not a flexi nib, but an interesting nib. So quite nice fountain pen. I was attracted to this particular I was attracted to this particular pen because of its wonderful colors. Let me give you an artificial light. Maybe we can see the colors better. I'm not sure this is the right way to show you the colors because the artificial light it gives like a yellow light. We don't have so it's better on the natural light. Look at this beautiful material. Quite a nice material. The only thing I don't like, because the colors are beautiful, is the fact that in time those colors fade away because of the touch with the sweat of the palms. So if this material it is casein, you can see for yourself the difference between a celluloid, a shiny celluloid, and the casein that in time fades away. So this is the problem of the material casein, of course, with its a bad reputation. How do you clean a fountain pen? Well, I use water. How about you? No, I have a casein pen and I have to be extremely careful with it. This is the only downside of this classic beauty. Don't get me wrong, casein fountain pens are works of art, and I have friends in Italy that care for them, and they experiment with different methods of restoring them, and basically you need to preserve these beauties and not to do lots of writing samples with them. You know that I prefer all my fountain pens to be functional. They have a functioning role and they should write with them, but some fountain pens are special and to they need special attention, and like an old vintage car, they need to be displayed for the future generation to appreciate their beauties. So this is a beautiful, beautiful Conway Steward, the first Conway Steward in my collection. I paid quite a reasonable sum for it, although it needs definitely a new sack and maybe some polish to this casein. I don't know the method, but please, please, guys, don't use water on casein. So this was my review of this beautiful English fountain pen. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel. You can help me in my activity of discovering new vintage fountain pens by subscribing to my channel. I wish you to have a nice day. I don't know if I have some ink. No, but why not? So, wherever you are, I wish you to have a nice day. Thank you very much for your time. See you again at the next episode, and bye bye.